Hello and welcome back to another episode of You Want to Do What with Dan and Julie. Today we've got Will Kane on, who is a professional CrossFit athlete, gym owner and online personal trainer. Hi Will.
Hi mate, you okay? It's kind to refer to me as professional CrossFit athlete there. I'll probably get a bit of stick for that. I'll stick with just a competitive CrossFit athlete at the moment.
Okay, we'll go with that. How are you?
Yeah, all good. It's been a bit of a crazy few days since Bozza fired us back down and into lockdown.
Yeah, it's tough for the gym industry.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone saw it coming, didn't they? In terms of we're going to have a second spike, and it's going to be a bit of lockdown. I was surprised that they've locked the gyms down or closed them. I mean, there's still some literature out there which is sort of suggesting you can operate to some extent outside, and if you're an elite athlete, you can still train in an indoor gym. So it's a bit of a strange climate, but. Obviously, we spoke off air in terms of like our new gym opening. It's a bit of a blessing in disguise, to be honest.
Is it so? That's up and running now. That's Bullpen Fitness, right?
Yeah. So I own Bullpen Fitness at the moment with my colleague Fraser. We've been going 7 years actually. So we've decided to merge with Harry, Mike, and Adam, who own AOD Fitness. And we've had a new building built, and I went to check it out today actually.
So is that what you describe yourself as mainly as a gym owner?
I suppose so. Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, sometimes I have to put like job titles down. I've got a bit of a range, I suppose. Yeah, I compete in CrossFit. I own a gym and then co-own a CrossFit. I suppose I don't have to call it CrossFit, but it's an online programming company which provides fitness programs, anything from CrossFit functional fitness programs to endurance and gymnastics programs as well. So yeah, a couple of job titles, I suppose.
So how did you get to owning a gym? What was sort of your path to get there?
Yeah, so I've probably been involved with the fitness industry for about let me get this right because I got it wrong. About 18 years now. Yeah, I literally started working as a fitness instructor when I was 15, and then I'd done sport at college amongst other things. Then went to uni, studied sport, and managed to get a job at a gym in Winchester, where I was a personal trainer. And then I worked for Virgin Active after I come out of uni, some more management roles. And then sort of fell into CrossFit just as a training method to go along with rugby, and then opened it or helped a friend open a gym in Cheltenham, and then I was involved with CrossFit Cheltenham. I moved over to I was like coaching there, and I wanted to, I suppose, train out of a CrossFit affiliate. The gym that I was currently at wasn't an affiliated gym, and then one of my clients, who's now my business partner, said, "Do you fancy opening one in Worcester? I think there's an opening." So we went for it. We put like £2,000 each in, and we've moved sort of twice now, and this is our next big move, and that should be it. Then we're going to a pretty state of the art, custom built facility, which is amazing.
So CrossFit's become a bit of it's grown rapidly, hasn't it, over the last sort of 10 years? And it looks brutal. Like we've both played rugby, me and Jules, since we were younger. Jules has given it up, but always threatens to come back at Christmas, and he never does. But as a training method, it's really taken off, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people still seem to think it's a pretty new training method, but it's been around since 2008 off the top of my head, maybe longer even than that. If you look at sort of read the CrossFit Journal from when the previous owner, Greg Glassman, started it. Yeah, I sort of looked at it. My brother actually done it before me, again, to supplement rugby. Rugby's always a sport you think you need to be stronger, fitter, more powerful, and it can be, I suppose, quite boring just doing your standard. It used to be for me, just with the lads, back and buys, chest and tries. Supposed to be legs on the Friday, but we'd end up just doing arms anyway. But yeah, I just started doing a couple of workouts, I suppose, with my brother, and then a guy suggested that I try it to go on rugby, and I sort of got hooked. I wasn't used to that sort of intensity of training, but I like to think I always train hard and I've done a bit of cardio. I suppose mainly weights in the gym, and then my cardio was rugby training. But it's brilliant. In my opinion, if you do it sensibly, correctly, periodized, it's one of the, if not the best training method for not only general population, but athletes as well.
It started to get a bit of a funny relationship, or a bit of bad PR at one point, because people were doing some silly stuff, but unfairly so, because if you do it properly, then it's one of the, like you say, one of the best methods, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've had countless interviews and sort of questions on what my views are in terms of, I think the common one is CrossFit dangerous, or is CrossFit safe and unsafe, etc.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like anything. If I go into a boxing gym and I'll jump in a ring with the heaviest, most experienced guy and get punched in the face, that's probably not the wisest thing to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Equally, if I'm, I suppose, new to rugby and I start trying to play with the first team and try and tackle big guys running at me with poor technique, you're going to get injured. So I know it's slightly different because it's a training method, and I suppose if you, for argument's sake, sat on a fixed weight machine and pressed a weight in front of you, there's little chance for injury. But we all know that fixed weight, there's a place for fixed weight exercises. We've got fixed weight plate loading machines for our new gym, so there's certainly a place for it. But in my opinion, functional exercise, functional fitness is the most fun and best way to get healthy, get fit, get strong. But yeah, just on that, in terms of CrossFit getting bad press, it used to, and it still does, man. I see things online and I'm looking at people's techniques saying, yeah, CrossFit, people think of it as a smash yourself every day, maximum weight, AMRAPs, do as many reps as possible in this time. I mean, I compete in CrossFit, and I haven't done hardly any CrossFit workouts in the last month because I'm in a different phase of training. Now, I know that's different for me because I suppose I compete, but I'm like an endurance and strength phase. I'm still doing the odd CrossFit workout here and there. But I mean, I suppose I was guilty as a coach previously, programming workouts that I think was so hard that would just destroy the guys. But we'll have meetings as a team, a coaching team, and we'll plan the whole year in terms of getting people to peak for the CrossFit Open, which is 5 weeks of competition. So, and just I'm rambling on here, but if I had a client as a coach and they wanted to improve their 5K run, I'd be looking to test their 5K run. So a lot of our clients would want some sort of measurement of fitness. So the way in which I would measure clients, apart from them seeing their lifts improve, quality of life improve, energy levels, is the CrossFit Open. So all of our programming and classes would be based around helping people to peak for them. So, if I was going to do a weekly program for our classes, it may be Monday, maybe lower body strength with a longer duration workout. Tuesday, maybe a gymnastics piece with a more intense workout. Wednesday could be an accessories and a posterior chain with medium domain workout. So it's people that just smash themselves with CrossFit are doing it wrong all the time, in my opinion. But so there certainly should be science and periodization behind it.
And your model is it's similar to what we talked about with Harry. He came on and talked about AOD and the future of personal training and that kind of world. And the online programming is really starting to take off, isn't it? And you guys your programs are really sort of at the forefront of that.
Yeah, I suppose so it's myself, Craig Ritchie, Jazz Corburn. I just call her Jasmine Wonderlust because it's and Fraser. We all own team training and we all have different roles in it as well. I suppose we started off, it was just going to be basically a program for myself and Craig to do. He was going to do a conditioning bias and I was going to do a strength bias, and then we were going to have a general one for people to follow. And then it sort of started spiraling out, and we've probably got like 20 plus programs now. They're our main ones. We've got a 3-a-week program. We've then got a home programming, which is minimal kit. We've got an endurance series, which our coach Josh Holman is our endurance coach. So he writes. He's got some pretty cool running, bike, and we're soon to be launching our triathlon programs and swimming. And then we've got a weightlifting series, which Chris Freebury writes. And then we have various specialist ones that Fraser's written, which like get you a 16-week pull-up program and gymnastics, etc. So, yeah, it was pretty crazy how it grew. Thousands of clients from around the world following a similar program. I mean, there's always that debate. If I was to magic the best program for you, it would probably be individualized. I've got, I'm not against. Rephrase that. I would admit that the best form of programming is individual, but if that means you training on your own without other people and you struggle for motivation, whereas I can give you a program that's maybe not as personalized and tailored, but you're going to train with your mates and you can compare your results to everyone else, then in my experience, I think that is a arguably better way to improve. And that's, I suppose, what the AOD guys, they're more individualized. I think they do a generic one, but we would potentially look to do that when we've got the manpower, but with our other businesses and my competing, we're sort of happy with the different options that we've got at the moment.
And do you think that's the way that the fitness industry needs to go? Because we've had a personal trainer on, and they're in the gym at really unsociable hours, and their work-life balance isn't fantastic. I mean, the guy we had on loves it, but for somebody to do it as a sustainable career for years and years and years, it needs to go the way you're doing it, right? For a person that wants to set their own business up or get into the industry.
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, just with regards to, I'll get a lot of questions of people saying, "Hi, Will, how do I get into the fitness industry? What would your advice be to someone who wants to become a personal trainer or a fitness instructor?" So in terms of how I see it, to make more money as a personal trainer, so I've got 8 clients a day, 5 days a week, which is a lot of work. And it's not like you're just in an office job. I'm not saying all office people have loads of breaks, but, I've worked in an office job in terms of I've been on the computer for a while and then I've got an hour or a half where I can sort of chill and do some admin. For these 8 hours, when you're training your clients, you've got to be on it and motivated because it is their hour out of the day. So in terms of making more money, you've either, there's 2 options: increase your price or work more hours, which, you're just doing more work. It's more antisocial. So then the next option is either get someone to work for you or do more class-based stuff, hence why we do CrossFit classes and small group personal training, which is, again, why I think that's quite a popular sort of progression for people. But yeah, then the next way, I mean, I know a girl from Cheltenham who's pretty much moved all of her personal training online. She either does it through Zoom or selling programs or by pre-recorded workouts. But for me, I like having a balance. I've got a few PT clients. I've got all the clients for the team training online. And then we've obviously got all of our members as well. So I think that is, for me personally, it's nice to have a balance.
Are your clients just run-of-the-mill, everyday people, or are they athletes competing at high levels of sport?
Yeah, it ranges.
Okay.
I've at one stage, when I was working at uni, I was having sort of 6 to 8 clients a day who ranged from athletes to general population to people that have been injured, etc.
How does your online model work with the general population? Do you find that actually works quite well?
Yeah, I suppose a lot of CrossFit programming companies tend to focus on the elite stuff, which is fine, like, in terms of competitive athletes. I suppose our demographic and target market are people that are potentially just below the sort of competition line. However, I have followed a lot of the programs, and I'm currently following our Pure Strength Volume 2 and one of our endurance programs. So you can mix and match. We've got supplementary programs whereby if you're following our just general team training program, which is a good coverage of gymnastics, strength and fitness, you could then maybe sub that with some extra conditioning or some extra strength work via the weightlifting programs. So in terms of how it focuses on sort of general pop, it's kind of for them to make the decision, but there's also scaling options as well. So if there's exercises like muscle ups and people can't do a muscle up, we'll offer a scaled option so they'd still get a similar stimulus.
Okay. And what is the average day for you running the gym? I know obviously going into a lockdown again, it's going to be a bit different. But still, what would be the average day for you?
Yeah, so I've got a little girl as well. So it's sort of changed the last few years in terms of taking her to nursery and whatnot. But my mum helps out with a bit of childcare from that point of view. So in terms of my week, like I'll train 6 times a week. Generally on a Monday, I'll work at the gym AM. So I'll be coaching for sort of 4 hours. I'll be there from 6 a.m. to about 1. Then I'll do my strength session after that. And then in the evening, at the moment, it's a run. So normally about 10K. Tuesday is an upper body session. And then I'll do my bike session in the evening. Wednesday normally is just a 1 session. So it's like a CrossFit day on Wednesday. So I've got a bit of freedom to just do a couple of workouts on a Wednesday. Mainly I'll focus on some weakness stuff. Thursday is like an aerobic day. So I'll quite often get on the bike again on Thursday and just do some recovery stuff, get in my op tub. And then Friday is normally a double day again. So I'll do, so off the top of my head, dynamic lower body at the moment. So some lighter, faster stuff, lower body. And then I'll have a bit more of a workout in the afternoon. And then Saturdays normally back to a bit of CrossFit, a bit of upper body, and then my final run in the evening. And Sunday is full rest.
Wow, that's a busy week in the gym.
Yeah, I mean that's just my training. So at the moment, well, pre-lockdown, I was coaching Monday AM, Wednesday. Let me think about this. Evening, Thursday's off, Friday evening, and Saturday just 1 class. So. But I don't feel like I'm doing too much. I enjoy coaching. I enjoy being in the gym. I prefer to be out doing stuff rather than just sitting down playing Call of Duty. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. How much of this sort of the future of the fitness industry? So we talked about it being more programming, but how much of it is branding yourself and your gym? You know, there's going to be a lot of programs out in the future with PTs trying to get people in and do their programs. And how do you go about building your brand?
Yeah, mine personally, or the businesses, or both?
Yeah, a bit of both.
Yeah, so I mean, I had a podcast a couple of weeks ago as well, whereby we were talking about getting to the CrossFit Games, and is it the pinnacle? And yes, is the question. Like it'd be cool to get to the CrossFit Games. I'd probably. It's the excuses. I probably came into it a little bit late. So like 25, I started CrossFit, and you see some of these guys now that like 19 getting into it. Wow. So body was maybe a bit beat up from rugby. I've done pretty good at regionals, and I've won a few big competitions and competed at some big competitions. And it's like, I suppose if I dropped everything and stopped coaching and stopped PTing and stopped running a business, and just said, right, I'm just going to train all year, I'd maybe have had a better shot. But I've always sort of had in the back of my mind, like financially, if I get there, unless I'm one of the top 5 and I get all this sponsorship, and then, I come in the top 10 maybe, it's not a huge financial gain. I suppose it's just the prestige of getting there. So I've tried to have always like, fingers in pies in terms of the online company, the PT, the gym, and the competing. I find it a nice balance. I've heard a few stories of people, if they don't win competitions or get money from a competition, they're going to struggle to pay their rent. And I just really didn't want to be in a position like that. But in terms of building like branding, like obviously social media comes quite heavily into it now. I was always a bit, I couldn't be doing with social media. When people call you an influencer, it's like, no, don't call me that. But it's the way the world's going. I mean, I've got a few sponsors that expect me to do stuff, and then you get really nice messages of people saying, "Oh, you've inspired me to do this, or you helped me to do this." So, I suppose branding wise, it's important I like to give people a balance to show that I train and compete, and then I can run a few businesses and whatnot as well. In terms of for the gym, we haven't got as big a social media following, but we've got a pretty good reputation in the area. So we've ploughed a lot more money into marketing compared to starting up 7 years ago. So certainly years ago, where it would be, you'd have some posters up in I don't know, coffee shops or give out leaflets or speak to friends. Now, 99% of all of our marketing budget is online.
And do you think people come and do your programs because they see you and they want to emulate what you're doing?
Potentially me as well. I mean, because we're in with Craig. Craig's got a really big following, so a lot of people. We've got quite a good mix actually. A lot of people will probably go on because Craig and Jazz do some of the workouts. We're involved. They've got a really cool profile, and they're involved with vlogging, fitness. People will go on it because I follow the programs, and then it will spiral. Then like people will jump on because there's a girl, Shelley McCoy, who's programmed by Fraser. She I suppose would inspire some people to jump on the program. We've got our weightlifting coach and our endurance coach who are also really good athletes. And I just think we initially, I wanted to actually price team training higher because we thought, well, hold on, if this is a service we're providing, I think it's worth more. But we actually went really low just because we thought, look, to be fair, we weren't even thinking about how much money we can make. It was like, what's a reasonable price for the service? And if it's not an individual program and it's pretty generic, this is what we think it's worth. So it's £10 a month for a program that I think you could charge 40, 50 from other programs that I've seen that are similar. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that is good value, isn't it, actually, for online programs?
Yeah, so our generic ones are £10 a month, and then we have sort of bolt-on programs like, off the top of my head, like our running and bike program, which have been sort of flying off the shelves at the moment, are £25 for like 8 to 10 weeks, which again, I think is good value.
Yeah,
and
certainly.
So yeah.
But then it's all about scale, isn't it? You're doing that. Whereas if you were getting someone in to do PT as, in person, then like you said, you might be able to do 8 hours a day, I guess, of PTing, whereas you can put that program out there, advertise, build your social media brand and get people in that way. And you're going to make a lot more money in the fitness industry doing that. Yeah.
I mean, I suppose like when it goes towards money, I used to be, I suppose I was just pure money driven. When I was a PT, it was like, it doesn't really matter how many hours I'm working, and I'm just you're watching the cash come in. And even with the gym, you're looking at these numbers, you're thinking, if we get this amount of members and we charge this much, we'll have this amount of money. But I've said it a few times recently. Maybe it's sort of wrong to say it, but I've saved up a bit of money, and I've done a few, I suppose, clever things that I could go and invest my money elsewhere and probably make more money. But I love what I do. I love the people at the gym. I feel like I've got a duty to serve them, but to provide this new gym for the guys. I mean, through lockdown, it could be right. Let's sell up. Let's sell all our kit. Let's go and do something. Well, yeah, that could make you more money. But we've had all these guys support us through the first lockdown. The majority are supporting us through the second lockdown. I have friends that will say, "Oh, you're so lucky having a job that you enjoy." And in terms of, I think me and Fraser were talking about it recently, about if you're just looking at how much money you can make, you lose sort of sight of why you actually started it. And we predominantly do it to get people healthy and provide people with a space that's going to enhance their lives. And the big thing for me recently, we were having, when we were closing up yesterday, we were having members just driving down, not even picking up kit, because we're renting out and selling all our kit, just saying thanks for the last 7 years, and I'll see you at the new place. I've had people say, if it wasn't for you guys, with my mental health situation, there's a good chance I might not have been here. And pretty humbling to know. So, and obviously, if you keep in sight people's mental health, physical health, and you're providing a good service, you're then inevitably going to make some well-earned cash, I suppose.
What would be some of the personality traits that you see in yourself that you think have really helped you get to where you are now?
I'm very competitive. In terms of, I suppose it stems, I've got two brothers. We're always competing against each other. And I always tend to have a positive mindset no matter what happens. We've had various situations before where there's a bill that's sort of crept up and out of our control, or there's been situations where we might not get the lease that we want, but I've always just seen the positive in a negative situation. Injuries in terms of competing, I've had a few injuries that are, I suppose, you're sort of asking why has this injury happened, and you're sort of dissecting it. But for example, I had a stress fracture in my lower leg. I've had tendonitis in my knee, which is really because they're repetitive strain injuries, which would suggest I've been doing too much. But that was pretty hard for me to take in terms of injuries, because they came at times where I had big competitions. But I just looked at the positives. I can still train. There's people worse off than me, and I think that's why I've done pretty well in terms of competing in the businesses and whatnot.
And what are some of the biggest positives or opportunities you've had out of the fitness industry?
In terms of, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, in terms of like having a job where that I enjoy doing, I enjoy going to work every day. It's not like a chore. I've had some pretty cool opportunities from sponsors where I've been able to travel to China, Canada, all around Europe, various other places, competing, which has been amazing. I've met people that have been amazing coaches that have helped me learn. I work with Prep Kitchen, so they give me all my food throughout the week.
Love that.
Which is pretty sweet. So I get like 2 meals a day from those guys, and they're lovely. It's just product drop in there. I think loyalty in sponsors has been a big one for me. I've been working with X Endurance probably for the longest. X Endurance and Complex spring to mind. And there has been a few opportunities where I've been offered potentially better deals, but I've just sort of looked at the bigger picture. They've helped me out, and I think I've helped them out with their stuff. So loyalty and communication, and always, like, if anyone's trying to get advice in terms of being sponsored, it's always be concerned about if the people that sponsor you are doing well, because I wouldn't want a company just giving me cash if they're struggling. So I'll always be concerned of how they're doing, you know?
Yeah, it's a partnership, isn't it? It's not just a one-way kind of train.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And if I'm confident that they're doing well and I know that their brand's going good, it sort of motivates me to sort of push them more. So you just keep growing and growing. I think that's a really important thing, certainly for people that are trying to get into social media stuff or getting into competing and needing support. And I remember, like, when I started doing the competitions, I actually wrote a letter to loads of companies asking to sponsor me, and that I don't think they had many of them, or I don't think people got it. They would maybe be approached themselves or wait to be approached. I suppose that's the sort of noble way of doing it. But I was saying, look, I think I can offer you a little bit of exposure in return for a little bit of help and sponsorship. And then it's sort of, as you get a bit better, it sort of spirals. And if they see value in you from a competitive point of view, and I think some of the companies now maybe see me as a bit more value in me with running the gym and running an online programming company as opposed to just exercise.
Yeah, you kind of like, you've grown together, really, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think a lot of the companies that I've worked with have grown, not just because of me, because they've sponsored bigger athletes as well, but certainly from a sponsorship point of view, it's important to know that you're both on the same wavelength and you're both growing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And on the other side of that, what would be some of the less favorable or negative aspects of the industry?
I think, as I alluded to earlier, I mean, for me, it's mainly been positive. I mean, you're always going to get people that are potentially jealous or feel threatened by your product or your success, which is understandable. You just got to take it on the chin, I suppose. You're always going to have people that disagree with what you're saying in terms of CrossFit as a training methodology or various supplements or recovery aids. So that's the only negativity I found. I used to sort of not bite back to various comments on Instagram, but I have always said right now, every negative comment, I'm just going to go in on someone, and it tends to not happen. The other, I mean, I suppose drugs cheats is my biggest pet hate, as I suppose every athlete. I think CrossFit's drug testing policy maybe isn't the best in terms of like governing bodies, but
have you had to deal with that in your high performance gym?
In terms of people taking stuff in the gym?
Yeah.
No, it's been pretty good. I mean, previous gyms that I've trained at, you can tell, you can tell most of the time who's on gear effectively. But yeah, and I'm sure, and I know, and there's been positive drug tests of people that have taken performance enhancing drugs in CrossFit. But I think general pop, because it's a nice environment. I don't think there's a huge amount of substance abuse in CrossFit gyms that I've seen. I've certainly seen it more widely used in Globo gyms. So it's just one of them things. It's like any sport, isn't it? You're not gonna clamp it out, but you just want it to be, I suppose, deterred as much as possible. There's been a few big athletes that have been done in the CrossFit world. So hopefully they're getting on top of it, and if you get done for drugs in CrossFit, you're pretty much out. That is it, because the community would struggle to accept you again. I mean, weightlifting, I love weightlifting, I love following the sport, but I feel so sorry for some of the clean guys in that, because even recently with weightlifting, all of the corruption and everything that's happened in terms of people just being paid off at the top echelons of the sport is really sad.
And would you kind of alluded to it earlier, if anybody's out there thinking, I want to be a competitive or compete at least a CrossFit athlete or any fitness athlete really, can you actually earn a living doing it, or do you need to do what you've done and take your experience and build a brand and start investing in fitness based companies?
You can make a living out of it in terms of getting an income. I think, in my opinion, there's in terms of making a living through prize money, there's probably only 5 to 10 athletes that could make a living through prize money. There's probably, I know, around the world, maybe couple of hundred that you'd say, maybe not even 100. Yeah, maybe 100 plus that would be making a living via CrossFit and the sponsorship and the endorsements that come with it. I think from in terms of giving advice of anyone that wants to do it, you need to be financially secure. If there's too much pressure on you trying to compete, needing to earn money, and then there's going to be more pressure on you needing to be successful in events in order to get your sponsorship pay, then I think that's a tough situation to put yourself in. So to answer your question, but only at the top end of the sport. But I think you do need to have things in pies in terms of different investments in and around the industry.
And what would be something that's not in the job description that you deal with every now and then, or maybe even every day?
It's just, for me, it's the timings and the organisation. You've got to be pretty organised, I think, in terms of, I'm one for lists. If I don't write lists, I'm not going to get the stuff done that I want to do. I'm going to train at specific times, and I'm going to miss meetings. I'm going to be delayed in traffic, like I was delayed to get off with you guys. It's that certainly being organised is a big one for me. If you're unorganised, you're going to let things run over. You're not going to be on top of stuff. You're going to be stressed. It's going to affect your sleep. So that's a big one for me.
Obviously, with every job, there's things that you don't get taught going into the job. But I think particularly as a PT or gym owner, and you've sort of touched on it earlier, being a psychologist and helping people out mentally, how big is that? And how did you sort of learn to deal with that?
Yes, Really good question. When I first got into it, it's purely selfish. It was kind of at uni, and it was kind of, right, let's just get these clients in so I can get all my drinking money, effectively. And I would miss some clients occasionally, and then I think it was my second year. I thought, right, hold on, I've got a pretty good client base here, and and then I think it just happens. It'll probably happen to every PT. You'll have a client that will probably break down crying on you, and then you'll go home and you think, Christ, all of my clients today have just been either moaning about their life or telling me about their problems. And we're all seeing it in the moment with this COVID and this lockdown, how important mental health is in terms of exercise, which again is why I'm surprised that they closed the gyms. So for me, knowing that you're helping people mentally and feeling like you're having a psychological effect on people is it's pretty profound, actually. As I said, we have members come up to us and we know that people struggle really badly from mental health in our gym, and with the gym not being there, we've had some concerned messages about people, which is why we're trying to provide recorded classes, nutritional advice, quizzes, just to keep people engaged. I think it's becoming, obviously mental health is great that it's talked about now. I think sometimes people can probably lean on that a little bit too much. So I spoke to psychologists and people that deal with people with mental health. It's so prevalent. It's great that it's talked about and it's great that people come about, but I think there's a lot of other solutions that people can use in terms of, as opposed to, just going to the doctor and taking drugs to make them better. Exercise is a huge one of those, not only for the sort of endorphins and the physiological benefits it has, but just for the communities that you can have, certainly in functional fitness and CrossFit gyms, just making friends and knowing that you're going to, if you've had a tough day, knowing that you're going to see all your mates down there, you're going to work out together. I think it's massive nowadays. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. There's certainly something to going to the gym, and even if you don't necessarily know the people in the gym, you sort of start to build a bit of a community in there, and you nod to each other in between your sets, and you might not even talk, but it's just that sort of release of, you don't think about anything else and you just go training, and it is so good for you.
Yeah, we had a girl the other day that I said, what are you doing tonight? I said, you've got your weights are lower than they normally are. You're chatting. She said, to be honest, I'm not really bothered about working out. I've just come to see everyone before we go into lockdown. And we all had a laugh. So that for me is awesome, And I think our members realised that we had 95% of our members support us financially through the first lockdown, which was amazing, regardless of the service we provided in terms of classes every day and nutritional advice. We loaned out all of our kit. Literally, there was nothing left in the gym.
Wow.
For me, the reason they did that is because they want the gym afterwards. They want the gym to be there. And I think that's why the bigger gyms are closing, or bigger corporations are struggling, because when I was at Virgin Active, for example, there's 3,500 members, 10 times the amount that we've got. And there's just people swiping in every day. They'll go and do their thing. They may go to a class, but then they'll go. And you didn't really know anyone personally. I probably know every single member by their first name. And it's just so much more community based.
Definitely. I think some big gyms, not all of them, but some big gyms can be a bit soulless. We're lucky in the town that we live in that we've got it's basically a family run gym, and it's great because everyone does know each other, and you might not talk to them, like I said, but it's a bit of a community feel there.
Yeah. That's the idea of our new gym, Blueprint Training, actually. At the moment, we just run CrossFit classes, weightlifting classes, and we have open gym as well. But with the new gym, our aim was just to not corner, but provide every piece of the market in terms of, we're doing small group PT. We've got amazing physiotherapists and sports therapist Radu, who's one of my physios. He's really popular in the town. He works with elite athletes, and with him coming with us, it's going to sort of enhance our brand. as well. He's all for functional fitness and some cool rehab stuff. We've got CrossFit, we've got endurance classes, we've got gymnastics classes, we've got open gym. So I suppose we're trying to have a functional fitness gym which would have the volume of clients that a normal Globo gym would have.
And you mentioned that you went to university and studied some sort of sports science degree. Would you do that now, or would you have just gone straight into it?
Yeah, good question. Again, I think for me, I think uni wasn't. I mean, the qualifications that I got were, I suppose, don't really aid my job now. If I went back, I mean, it's a really weird question because it's kind of asking me. It would have changed the course of my life. Like for me, first of all, uni helped me. I was living on my own. I was having to learn life skills. I was pretty much having to look after myself, from bills to buying my own food, doing my own washing, even though my mum come up most of the time. But do you know what I mean? It gave me a lot more confidence, and I was earning money myself. So all the cash was going in my bank account. So the thing that I took from uni was, as I said, the life skills. In terms of would I do it again, if I was going to go to uni again, I would do something that was more specific, like, I don't know, law or an engineer's degree. Even though I think that would probably be boring, it would just direct me straight into the career. But I would say to people, if they're looking to get into it, it's great life experience, but I think you can get other qualifications and gain other experience by either working in a really good establishment or going on some pretty awesome courses. So yeah, I've had long conversations about, would you go back to uni, or if you had kids, would you advise them to go to uni? I think from a kid's point of view, I'd say, look, if you want something more specialist, do it, but got no problem with you doing some sort of apprenticeship or taking a different course in life. Because going off on a tangent, like in terms of when we used to employ people, I would start initially look to see if they've got a degree, and I'd be like, right, we'll interview them because they were obviously clever. But then you'd have some people that would have a degree that they couldn't talk. It was like, just say about why would I want to employ you? Then you'd have some people that, I don't know, no disrespect, someone that had worked in a supermarket or a phone shop, and they're amazing. They're so motivated and best members of staff. I think their confidence is a really big thing. Like we've had coaches at the gym. We've had such a range. We've had some people who you look at their qualifications and you're like, flip now, this guy or girl is so intelligent, they'll be amazing. But then they just cannot lead a group of people. Like we've got quite a rowdy bunch at Bullpen or Blueprint Training. They're good banter, you've got to keep control of the class, and you've got to be able to take a bit of stick and stuff. And some people just wouldn't be able to hack it. We've had coaches that are just probably too quiet, don't come out of their shell. Then we've had other people with hardly any qualifications, but they're so motivated, and the guys love them because they just brighten up their day. I think it's obviously important to have a mix, but it's interesting the different people that you have in different roles.
And have you got any advice for anyone listening that either wants to get into competitive fitness or wants to take a role into the fitness industry in general?
Yeah, in terms of competing, I think all this hard work pays off. Hard work does pay off if you're, in my opinion, a decent athlete already and you've got decent genetics. It's unlikely. It's hard to say without being harsh. Like, you need to have a serious word with yourself and say, right, if I'm going to compete, I've got to be at a decent level. Like, I'm not going to look at myself now and say, right, I'm going to compete at a high level in boxing because I'm too old. I've never really done it, and it's kind of, I'd know that it's a silly decision.
Yeah.
But so I think it's people need to be honest with themselves and decide how far they can go. They need to see their ceiling. If you get a good program in, and if you have a good lifestyle, that's another thing as well. People will be trying to compete whilst they're working full time. I'm sure there's some athletes and anomalies that do it, but in terms of the stress levels and the fatigue, it'd be so difficult. You'd need to you need to ask yourself again, am I giving myself every opportunity to be the best I can be? It's difficult. I haven't kind of answered the question, but do you know what I mean? I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah,
you need to be honest with yourself and see where you're at. I suppose you could always, just see how far you can go. You may qualify for a lower level competition, then you may qualify for a division in a sanctional event, which is down from the elite. Then the next goal might be get to the elite. Then the next one maybe to get into that top 5 or top 3 and try and get to the games. So you could always just suck it and see, I suppose. In terms of advice for people getting into the fitness industry, I think it's gonna not boom, because I suppose it's booming-ish anyway. People are certainly, from when I was younger, everyone, or when my parents were younger, it'd be like, right, we'll go down to the pub. In my opinion, a lot of people go and exercise now. Obviously,
right, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the social environment where people go.
Certainly.
So I think it's going to kick off more after COVID. Even the next couple of years, people need that they realise that their cardiovascular system and needs to be stronger to fend off pulmonary and cardio diseases. So I think you can making the positive of a bad situation. The post would be, if you do not want to have a high percentage of dying from COVID, you need to exercise. Do you know what I mean? It's like the healthier people, I know there's going to be anomalies as well, but the healthier you are, the higher chance you have of fighting off a virus like COVID. So advice to people, gone off on tangent again. Advice to people starting is get your qualifications sensibly. You don't have to just do the generic personal training qualification. There's loads of amazing courses out there, so research what courses you need, and have a goal, man. Don't just want to become a PT and that's it. You want to, in my opinion, you want to see who's some highest earners or the most successful in the industry out there, and model yourself on those guys, because otherwise it's just going to be a slog. People need to, unless you're in a big unpressurized job in a gym and you're getting a pension, how long are you like you guys said earlier, how long do you want to be trained by 70-year-old Jeff?
Probably not, yeah.
And there's potentially a shelf life for a PT. So advice for some starting is give yourself a final goal, and make it a big one, and give yourself
brilliant.
Yeah, I'm struggling in terms of give yourself options. Give yourself options. The older you get, so you can sort of take a back seat, or you can move in different roles.
And would you still go into the fitness industry, knowing everything you know now?
Yeah, I think I would. In terms of, although you say antisocial hours, if you're working on your own, or if you're working as a PT, obviously people will want to be trained or coached whilst they're not at work. So that means you have to coach and train them whilst in unsociable hours. But from a lifestyle point of view, I get to, like I said, on a typical day, I can train in the morning. I can then, I'll be eating my meals throughout the day. I'm in an environment where I'm watching people exercise and enhancing people's mental and physical health. I can then train myself because I'm already there. I'm surrounded by people that enjoy exercise. It's not like I'm surrounded by people that are, I don't know, abusing their bodies, by being in a poor environment. Then I can have a bit of freedom now. I run a gym. Like, even going into the new place, I'm going to be working even less hours than I do now. So there's 5 of us that own the new gyms, so we're going to be taking 20% of the load. I mean, the initial sort of a few months we're going to be pretty busy, but it'll give me time to concentrate on maybe doing some more of my exercise, or having some more one-to-one clients again, or concentrating on the online stuff. So 100% I'd get in the fitness industry again.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on, Will. I've really enjoyed chatting to you and listening to your career.
Yeah, nice. Well, thanks for having me. And Yeah, I suppose I've just been talking about myself and I for an hour.
It's good.
Thank you again. Best of luck with the new gym. And can you let us know where people can find you on social media, websites and whatnot?
Yeah, so I suppose my Instagram is willkane17, the number 17. So you can see what I get up to on there. Team training programming is our Instagram for online programming, and Blueprint Training is our new gym. So you can follow us on Instagram, see the updates we're posting, our progress of the building as well. And yeah, that's me pretty much.
Awesome. Thank you, Will. Best of luck with it all.
Again.
No worries. Thanks very much, guys. Awesome.
Cheers.